This ad strategy that I'm about to reveal here today is going to be one of the weirdest, uncommon scaling strategies that you'll probably have never heard of before. Hey, this is Peng Joon here today, and today in this video, I'm going to be showing you something that I have been doing in my ad campaigns to really take and scale my campaigns from $100 a day to $1,000 to $5,000. And you'll be able to see why in this video it is literally going against some of the most common principles that most marketers are saying. So what am I talking about? I'm talking about your audience targeting and going super broad. And in this video, I'm going to be showing you why when it comes to scaling, it's no longer just about targeting specific audiences, but rather targeting super broad generic audiences. And what are some of the things you need to be doing if you want to do it well? That's right. You see, most of the time when a person talks about targeting, you want to start off being specific to a specific interest, to a specific demographic, to a specific audience. However, the downside to that is that eventually that audience is going to fatigue out. The same audience is going to be seeing the same ad over and over again. And eventually, the price to acquire a sale or a lead is going to go up. So what do you do? Now, this is where I want to walk you through something that I've been doing. Let me see if I'm in the right ad account. Okay, so for this ad account over here, you will see that we're spending about 6 figures a month. Okay, so in the last 3 months over here, you will notice that a very important metric that we're going to be talking about over here is this cost per result. Now, what is a result? A result could be a lead, it could be a sale, it could be a webinar registrant. Once you understand what your cost per result is, let me walk you through this next thing, okay? Once you understand your cost per result, and once you understand how much a customer is worth, and if it's profitable, right? Which means for every $1 you put in, you're getting back $2 or more in return, and you want to scale it. Now, usually what happens is you will notice that there's this thing called diminishing returns. You put in the dollar in, you get back $2. You want to put in, 100, 1,000, but there will be a point in time when it comes to scaling where you're no longer getting the returns you once had at a small budget. So what do? Now, let me show you some example case studies of last month. We had, now this is for a event. Okay, you can see my cost per result is about $200, $100, $173. And I know, based on my sales process, that every time a person goes through this sales process, I know that they're worth about $700+. Okay, so which means for every dollar that I put in, I'm getting about 3 to 7x return on ad spend. Okay, so we'll be switching this on again, if we decide to do this event again, sometime, in a couple of months. But you will notice that if I show you the targeting, this is where it's going to look a little bit weird, okay? Now, if I look at this campaign, so let's say I were to take a look at my audience. So for example, this is based in US, right? Broad. If I were to click on this audience over here, you will see it says broad audience, lookalike, okay? Now, if I were to show you different examples, so worldwide, you'll notice that over here, same thing here, we've spent about $5,000 on this campaign. It says hot, warm, and broad. Okay, I want you to write down these 3 words, hot, warm, and broad. Because if you stay to the end of this video, you are going to be able to see why this is such a powerful scaling technique. Now, if I were to click on this broad audience, okay, just notice something, okay? So this broad audience over here, if I were to click on edit, you will see that this audience over here, it just excludes people that has bought from me before. Okay, but I would like you to notice this. It says location, living worldwide, anyone that is 21 to 55 years old. And that's it. Now just think about that for a second. That's the targeting. You might be looking at this saying, Peng Joon, wait a second, your targeting is, yes, we're targeting pretty much anybody that's alive, right? Anyone that is living worldwide, 21 to 55 years old, they're a good fit. Now, obviously, in most cases, if you did this, this campaign would be losing money. Why? Because it's super broad, super generic. It doesn't even have interest targeting. Take a look at this, right? Look, ma, no interest targeting, right? No interest targeting, and it's just based upon worldwide. And that's why, if I were to zoom out, you take a look at this. Even Facebook, if I were to zoom in, says, if you guys can take a look at, let me try if I can zoom out over here. It says your audience selected is fairly broad. Yeah, I think that's quite an understatement, right? It says potential reach 1 billion people. Okay, so this campaign is targeting 1 billion people. So in most cases, like from a logical perspective, it sounds like this campaign should be bleeding money, right? Because how is it possible that this campaign can still be profitable? Well, here's what happens, okay? If I were to close this thing and go back out and show you some numbers, okay? So this was the worldwide audience, right? We spent about $5,000, and for every dollar we're spending, we're getting about, $7 return. Now, coming back here, okay, put it this way. You will notice that my hot audiences gets me about $83 cost per sale, naturally, right? But why is it that this super broad audience is at $140? Now, I'll show you some examples which may not necessarily be the case where it's most expensive. But here's what I'm trying to get you to see, okay? It's that once you have an audience that's warm or hot. So what's a warm or hot audience? This could be leads. This could be people that's bought from you in the past. This could be previous buyers, right? These are hot audiences. Now, so let me just kind of show you on the whiteboard what this might look like, okay, so that you'll be able to understand what we're doing over here. Okay, I would like you to imagine that right now, it's kind of like we are on this huge island, okay, and there is this really experienced fisherman, okay, and I'm going to do my best utilizing this analogy, where you know that this fisherman, he's like under your employment, super experienced, and for some reason, he knows that on this island, this spot here is a really good spot for fishing. And there is a lot of fishes over here, okay? So he's good at fishing. There is a lot of fishes over here, but there's a problem. And the problem is that this is a really small spot, and he can only catch that many fish in this small spot here. And if you think about it, that's kind of like your warm/hot audiences. Now, chances are, your warm/hot audiences, which could be your list, it could be your previous buyers, it could be your lookalike audiences. While that is a great audience, it's a great place to go fishing, the problem is that it's a really small audience. So what do? You got to be able to explore other spots that might be a good fishing spot. So what are other spots that could be a good fishing spot? So if you take a look at this, now this is the rest of the world, right? Obviously, this island would be a much bigger island, but imagine that based on the campaigns that I showed you earlier, this is the rest of the world. And the spot that we were fishing earlier is literally less than 1% of the entire world. So what do we need to do? We need to employ another fisherman, okay? So this next fisherman comes in, and he's like somebody that has got like maybe 1 year of fishing experience. And he says, hey, you know what? I know that this other spot over here is a good spot for fishing, right? So he goes fishing over here. Now, what is this green fisherman with 1 year experience? Now, this over here, if I were to go back to my campaign to show you how it looks like. Now, this would be, take a look at this. This would be my warm audience. Now, what is a warm audience? A warm audience is kind of like the interest targeting that you have utilized before that you know kind of converts, okay? So this could be a specific software, this could be a specific person, this could be a specific organization, but it's an interest or a specific targeting that you know has converted well in the past, okay? So that's why it's warm, okay? Which is the green fisherman over here. Okay, now this might not convert as well as hot, but this is the next step, right? However, if you take a look at this, okay, this third one over here, this is still profitable for me, but this, here's the upside. The upside to this is I can scale this much higher. Why? Because what's my targeting? My targeting is the entire world. Anybody that's alive, right? 21 to 55 years old, living anywhere in the world, worldwide. So in most cases, like logically, this should be a campaign that's burning money. But why is it not burning money? It is because when Facebook sees these numbers over here, and when they start seeing the conversions and the people buying over here, what's ultimately happening is that Facebook is going, oh, wait a second, what is a commonality based on the data that we have on the people that has bought? How can we find more people just like the people that's bought? Okay, so think about it as think of it as now there's a third fisherman that wants to come along and fish. So let's represent this as the third person over here. And this person over here, he has got like zero experience. He is like that intern that has never worked before, 17 years old, fresh off the boat. Well, fresh off the boat, landing on this island, becoming a fisherman, right? So this fisherman has no idea what he's doing. He's like, this is my first day on a job. I have no idea where to go. Should I go here? Should I go here? Should I go here? Should I go? Where should I go? Now, but because you bundled them together, and there's the blue fisherman and the green fisherman and red fisherman, here's what's happening, right? The blue and the green fisherman is actually teaching and guiding this fisherman that's never fished his entire life, and telling and feeding this person, look, based on our experience on the spots that has fishes, these are the commonalities and the different factors that usually contains a lot of fishes, right? We notice that the temperature is usually this temperature. We notice that it's usually at this specific location. We notice that the altitude and magnitude is usually at, there are these specific factors. Now, obviously, I'm just utilizing a ridiculous example when it comes to fishing, but what has it got to do with Facebook? Same thing for Facebook algorithm. They have data points on pretty much everything, on everybody. And they're saying, wait a second, based on the data that we have, based on people that has bought, we notice that they're usually staying in this specific area. These are their specific friends. These are the books they like. These are their income levels. This is what they love doing. And of course, they've got hundreds of thousands of different data points. But these data is being fed to this person over here, so that even if this person has got no experience, does not know where to go, they have a rough idea on where to go next to go fishing, based on the fact that this person is in the same boat, which is campaign. They're in the same campaign as these two people. So this is what I call like the guiding ad set, right? Where you put in 3 different audiences. One, which is your hot audience, the person has got a lot of experience. Your warm audience, where not as great as hot, but they've experienced in the past. And ultimately feeding the new person in as the same team or boat as these two people, so that this person would know where to go. And finally, the most important thing, okay, when it comes to making this work is basically to smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm. Guys, listen, if you're enjoying this video so far and you're getting good insights when it comes to scaling your ad campaigns, which is the same strategy that we utilize to scale to millions of dollars, be sure to smash the like button. Let me know in the comments below. Type in scaling Facebook ads. One of the things that that we've been doing is I will be selecting 1 to 3 random winners. Let me know what your biggest takeaway is if you want to be in the running, if you want to be selected as one of our $997 training courses. And be sure to subscribe to this channel if you want to be able to see and watch more videos that is based on latest techniques, based on what's working right now. I'll just kind of share my screen again. You will see that based on my screen over here, yes, right now, this broad audience, might be the most expensive, but I'm also going to find and show you some campaigns where that's not necessarily the case, where the broad audience, the intern, eventually outperformed the leader or the mentor or the hot audience. Okay, and here's why. Okay, so for example, let me show you if that might be the case for some places. It's common, and I'll show you how that might look like. Okay, so take a look at this. So this would be an example of a campaign that shows you exactly just that, right? So notice that here in this campaign, same thing. What have we done? We have got 3 main audiences. Now, what is that? Number 1 would be a pretty hot audience, right? I would call it, lukewarm to hot. Why? Because there's a lookalike like our previous buyers, right, for this specific campaign. So that's like a really good audience, right? So this is like kind of, again, the mentor in the organization, the leader, right? The fisherman that has got experience. Then there is the best audiences, right, over here. But you'll notice that this is the one that's super broad. It's like anybody as long as they live in the US, right? Which is targeting like, I don't know, a few 100 million people. But notice that this over here, isn't this crazy, okay? The cost of acquiring a customer is actually less than half. It's about half of how much it costs us to acquire a customer that is a pretty hot audience. Now, why is that the case? It is because now when we want to scale, Facebook is given free hand to decide, hey, based on these numbers that you've had, and because we have been running this campaign for like years, right? Eventually, again, hot audiences fatigue out, right? There's only that many lookalike like your buyers, right? Before you start fatiguing out. So what do? You allow the Facebook algorithm to go crazy by giving them a super no interest kind of targeting, but again, putting them on the same boat as your warm and hot audiences. And that's why you can see that there are scenarios that your cold, no targeting audiences will outperform your super targeted audience. Does that make sense? So guys, I think this pretty much concludes this video. Let me know in the comments what your biggest takeaway is. And if you truly want to get really good at Facebook ads, be sure to binge watch this entire playlist all about Facebook ads that is going to appear in front of you in about 5 seconds. Here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2.